Mataji, ladies. Atra in this lake. Praveshya, entering. Garuda. Vyadi, if. Matsya, the fish. Saha, he. Khadati, eats. Sadhya, immediately. Prāne, of his force of life. Vyujeta, will become deprived. Satyam, truthfully. Etat, this. Bhavimi, and speaking. Aham, I. If Garuda ever again enters this lake and eats the fish here, he will immediately lose his life. What I'm saying is the truth. Purport by this purport is Prabhupada's purport. The Acharya has explained this in this regard because of Saubhari Muni's material attachment and an affection for a fish. He failed to see the situation from the spiritual viewpoint. The 9th canto of the Bhagavatam describes he fall down for this offense. Because of his false pride, Saubhari Muni lost his power of austerity, and with it spiritual beauty and happiness. The Guru came to Yamuna. Saubhari Muni thought, although he may be a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I will still curse him and will kill him if he disobeys my order. Such an offensive attitude against the exalted Vaishnava, it will certainly destroy one's auspicious position in life. As the ninth canto describes, Saubhari Muni married many beautiful women and suffered greatly in their association. Because he had once become glorious, taking shelter of Yamuna river, Vrindavan, he was ultimately delivered. Om Gyan Tivrandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurmritanena Tasmai Shri Chaitanya Manovesta Sapita Mena Bhuta Swayam Rupa Gadamaya Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Upam Sagrajatam Sahagana Guratan Tam Sadevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Prajana Sainam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vidam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Radha Kṛṣṇa Goswāmī Tapta Kṛṣṇa Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suri Devi Namami Haripe Vancha Kalpatarvyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Paritānam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaur Bhaktavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. She reading the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, and the 10th canto, Prabhupada presents the Lord's transcendental pastime. Prabhupada, when he went to America, the first thing he did after he went there was to get the Krishna book published. Prabhupada explained that he wanted to make sure that the Lord's pastimes are presented in a true form. And when you read about these pastimes of the Lord, you can see these are all transcendental. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, Janma karma chame. If you look at the Lord's pastime from a mature angle, you will think, this is just speculation. How is it humanly possible somebody could do an activity of this type? For example, you describe the appearance of Lord Nrsimhadev as half man, half lion. Majority of people who are not exposed to bhakti, they think it's speculation. The one who takes the path of bhakti yoga knows that the Lord is inconceivable. Advaitam achyutam anadi ananda rupam adhyam purana purusham. This is the Durlabham Atma Bhakta Govind Mahanikosam Dvāna. The Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma said, Advaita, no different between body and soul. The Shuddha is infallible. It would make him say, Adhyaya when he can manifest himself in unlimited number of forms. But the genuine incarnation are all explained in modified scriptures. Adhyam Purana Purusham Nam Yoganam Cha. He is the oldest of all. reappears ever beautiful. And further, Lord Brahma says, Vede su-duḥkhitān ācaran. You want to understand the Lord just by studying the scriptures. That's not going to be conceivable. If you take your path of bhakti, then you'll be able to understand. So the Lord is inconceivable. In the 10th canto, we read about his pastimes. And we see that the Lord, even as a young child, performs superhuman activities. So in this chapter, we read the story of Kṛpayā. Kṛpayā was a very dangerous snake living in the Yamuna, and the fragrance of his body was so strong, even the birds flying over it would die. And Kṛpayā was ultimately defeated by the Lord. So we see that in the Lord's pastime, that the Lord performed these pastimes with whom? With the devotee. Ultimately the Lord is victorious. Here we read about the story, here we read about the story of Kṛpayā and the mistake committed by the 9th canto. This is very nicely explained. The story of King, the story of Saubhari, and Prabhupada in the purport discusses that. Saubhari was engaged in performing austerity. He was a very powerful Muni, and he was performing great austerity. And he was discharging austerity by positioning himself right at the bottom of a river. Just like the submarines go underwater. So Saubhari Muni was deep underwater, and he was able to meditate. And he was deep underwater, was meditating. There he saw, what did he see? Two fishes mating. And when he saw the two fishes mating, he got bewildered. He got cheated. He started thinking that, oh, maybe this is a very enjoyable activity. And Saubhari Muni gave up his deep meditation underwater just by meditating on the happiness and sex life. So therefore we read in the scriptures that we should always be engaged positively. The mind can be a friend and an enemy. When is the mind considered to be a friend? When? When is the mind considered to be a friend? When you're thinking about it positively. And when you're thinking about negative thoughts, then the mind is what? The worst enemy. So what was Saubhari Muni for? He was deep underwater, practicing austerities for a very long time. He didn't even care what his body looked like, his long hair and wrinkled cheeks, skinny. But the moment he started thinking about what he saw, what did he see? He saw the two fishes mating. And he began to think, the sex life is very enjoyable. And he gave up his meditation, he went straight to the palace of the king. Therefore, the Vedic advice, until mold your life in such a way that moment of death, mind is positively engaged. The mind will only be positively engaged if you have also practiced the process of devotional service. If you have not practiced the process, don't expect at the moment of death to be able to think about the Lord. So Saubhari Muni went to the king. He came out of his meditation and he had determined how I should get married. So he went straight to the palace of the king. The king saw Saubhari Muni to be a very ugly man. Naturally, living underwater and not caring for the body. He had long hair, long nails, wrinkled cheeks. His whole body had become completely weak and skinny. And Saubhari Muni was also very expert in chanting mantras. And he would chant mantras very purely. So the king saw this sage come to his palace. And the king said, Saubhari Muni said, I would like to marry one of your daughters. The king had 3 daughters and 3 sons. So he approached, he said, I'd like to marry one of your daughters. And the king said, he saw the Muni was so ugly that no one would even come near him. So he very diplomatically said, oh, I can't force my daughter to marry you. If I want to marry you, I have no objection, but I can't force them. So Saubhari Muni was not a fool. He was very expert in chanting mantras. He knew how to chant the mantras with the right meter and so on. So Saubhari Muni said, I know why the king does not want to give me a bride. Why? Because I'm ugly. Naturally, I was underwater performing meditation. So he said, I know why the king did not offer his daughter to me, one of his daughters, because of this, my ugliness. I am going to become so handsome, so beautiful by chanting these my mantras that even the celestial planets, residents living in celestial planets, would aspire to marry me. And he was a powerful yogi. Hard to say today. He was a powerful yogi. He could chant me on very powerful mantras, very powerfully. So Saubhari Muni chanted mantras. By his chanting the mantras, he became very handsome man. Like these days, you go to beauty saloons. Maybe you may be an old man with wrinkled cheeks and whatnot. But if you go to the beauty saloon, they'll do such nice makeup on you that you won't even notice it. Now they have this in the Western society. They have funeral homes where they take the body and decorate the body. You look very beautiful. So a lot of people spend money. This will look beautiful. Everybody else. So Saubhari Muni, he, by chanting mantras, became very handsome young man. And he became a very handsome young man. And he went to the palace where the queens were residing. Saubhari Muni went to the palace where the queens were residing. And when Saubhari Muni entered that palace, in which his 50 daughters resided, Saubhari Muni saw Saubhari Muni become so handsome, so beautiful, so attractive. All the sisters started fighting. The sisters started saying, I selected him first. And the other sisters would say, no, I selected them before you. So the 50 sisters were just fighting. What did Saubhari do? Saubhari Muni engaged. And by chanting mantras, he had created very opulent palaces. Very opulent palaces. So Saubhari Muni not only made himself very handsome, he also created palaces, and he became very, very handsome. So Saubhari Muni saw that, the 50 sisters were fighting as to whose husband he should be. He said, I'll marry all of you. So he married all the sisters. And by his austerity, he created such a beautiful palace that when king came to see that palace, he was surprised. Because the king had a palace, Saubhari Muni's palace, created by the chanting of mantra, was even more attractive. So Saubhari Muni married all 50 sisters. He had 100 children whom he wife. So with no time, his family expanded. The family expanded to 500 wives, 5,000 children. And he gave each of them a very royal environment to live in. So Saubhari Muni, who got all these facilities, Saubhari Muni noticed that even though he has all the facilities, even though he has the power to become handsome, rich, he was still dissatisfied. He wasn't satisfied because he had a carte blanche. He created such a beautiful environment. He had a very beautiful palace to live in, and his wives were also beautiful. So Saubhari Muni realized, I left my meditation to pursue the path of sense enjoyment, and I got sense enjoyment. I got the opportunity for sense enjoyment. But still I'm not happy. He had absolute powers. He was such an expert chanter of mantras that he got 50 palaces made by just chanting mantras. He realized that I have made a mistake. I should not have done this mistake. So he decided, I'll go and perform deep meditation in the water, like I used to do it before. The wives saw. Saubhari Muni is now desirous of pursuing the Vedic path. And Saubhari Muni said, I wasted enough time. I could not satisfy my senses, even though I had all the facilities. And he said, now we'll go back and start performing meditation. When he started performing meditation, the wife said, we should also follow our husband. The husband was not satisfied, could not satisfy himself. And the wife also followed the husband, and they all achieved perfection. Now, from this story, these are not mythological stories. This is not fiction. Sometimes people say, everything you read in the Vedas is mythology. It is imaginative. But that is not true. During the British rule, they had British scholars perfected the knowledge of Sanskrit. They translated these books, the Vedas, and they presented it from the angle, this is all mythology. The Muslims are more blunt. They destroyed the Hindu temple. The Britishers were more diplomatic. They, in a very systematic path, I tried to show the Vedas present mythology. Actually, Vedas present true spiritual knowledge. So Saubhari Muni went back to the forest to form deep meditation. In the Bhagavatam we see, there are other stories also. King Yayati, you read in his story, that he had a facility for 10,000 years to practice austerity. And what was the result? He could not satisfy himself. So, last time I read are three pathways leading to hell. And lust is a powerful enemy. Arjuna said, Krishna, please instruct how, in spite of our having knowledge, what's right, what's wrong, we still get directed to what is wrong. What is the reason? What did Krishna say? What did Krishna say? What is the reason? Kama is, what did he say? Rajaguna. It is lust only, the all-devouring enemy of the living entity, is always burning like fire. It never satiated. So through the pages of the Bhagavatam, we get exposed to so many different stories, but they have one purport. That is, you can never satisfy your material senses, material endeavors, and you can satisfy your senses. How? By engaging in Sarvashvara God. Sarvapadi Vinamuktam, Tatratya-kṣemam. The senses can only be satisfied if you engage them in spiritual activity. Now, the Acharyas have explained why Saubhari Muni got diverted from his meditation. Saubhari Muni was in meditation, deep under water, and he still got deviated. Why did this happen? This was the effect of offenses. Therefore, Prabhupada says, avoid offending any Vaishnava. Saubhari Muni had offended and it was Garuda, the bird carrier of Lord Vishnu. Garuda is the bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, and Garuda is entitled to eat fish. For us, eating fish is not desirable. For Garuda, the bird carrier of the Lord, eating fish is something natural. And what did Saubhari Muni do? Garuda wanted to eat a particular fish. And what did Saubhari Muni do? He hid it, he gave protection to the fish so that Garuda could not eat that fish. For us to eat a fish is sinful. For Garuda to eat a fish, very normal. Prabhupada explains, we should avoid offenses. We should avoid offending a Vaishnava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains the process of devotional service. Śrīla Goswami and Sanatana Goswami explain how Brahmanda Prabhita Kona Bhagavanaji, Guru Krishna kṛpayā, after going through so many persons that you see the fortunate soul who receives what? The seed of bhakti. The seed of bhakti means knowledge that bhakti yoga is the best alternative. Bhakti yoga is the only solution. And you get this knowledge, But then you get a seed of devotional service, then you want the seed to grow. How does the seed grow?
Hearing and chanting.
By
Hearing and chanting.
hearing and chanting. This is compared to watering the seed. You may have a very beautiful garden, but if you don't water the plants properly, you will not fructify. So this, just getting knowledge, the bhakti, the ultimate solution, is not the end of the world. That's only the beginning. Just like when we go out and distribute books, we've given someone a book, the spiritual life begins with that. But then he has to read it to get full advantage of it. So, getting knowledge is good. Then we have to water the seed. Water the seed of devotion. That is known as Shravanam. There are different stages of chanting the holy name. You have the offensive stage, the stage of minimizing offenses, and the purified stage. In the beginning, you just ask people to chant. You don't give them a whole presentation. And then as they chant, they discover, oh, there's some more guidelines that we have to follow. Just like Prabhupada, when he opened the first temple in New York, he just told the devotees, just chant. He didn't give them any rigid rules or anything. One day, the devotees reciting there came up to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, don't you want us to follow some rules and regulations? And Swamiji said, this is what I was waiting for. And you would come and ask him. So, the seed of devotional service grows through the process of Shravanam Kirtanam. And then, it is said that we should stay in devotee association. Devotee association is highly recommended. One may have the spiritual knowledge, but still you need devotee association to practice devotional service. And we can associate with those who are more advanced, those who are equally advanced, and those who are less advanced. We behave differently in different situations. When you meet somebody more advanced, then what do? You're joyful. Why? Because you're going to get some knowledge. It will help you to make spiritual progress. When you meet somebody equally advanced, what do? What do? What's the answer? You make friendship. Friendship in spiritual life means we work together to spread the mission of the Lord. That is very necessary. Prabhupada used to say, united we stand and divided we fall. Jesus Christ. Can't compete with the bell. So Nanda Muni explains that when you meet somebody equally advanced, what do? Make friendship. Friendship in spiritual life means you work together to push Srila Prabhupada's movement. And when you meet somebody less advanced, then what do?
Show compassion.
Show compassion. Showing compassion means giving them the knowledge. In the purport, Prabhupada said, our compassion should be consistent with the compassion of the Lord. In other words, sentimentally you may think, oh, I should do something. But there is a difference between spiritual compassion and material compassion. When Prabhupada says in the purport, so our compassion should be consistent with the compassion of the Lord. In other words, our compassion should be for a spiritual cause, to enlighten, to give people knowledge the way they can make spiritual advance. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that the seed of devotional service grows when you water it, and in order to ensure that unwanted animals don't come inside, you should do stay in the association of devotees. By staying in devotee association, you're constantly reminded about the purpose of the human life, about the importance of devotional service. So this seed of devotional growth, you associate. And then Lord Chaitanya said, sometimes you have unwanted weeds that also grow side by side. What do you do to these unwanted weeds?
Cut down.
Cut them. In other words, with the help of devotees, what do? You eliminate them. Once you identify the disease, then you want to cure the disease. By being in devotee association, you can identify what the problem is. And you can also cure that problem. Many times, so we stay in devotion. Many times if someone says something, we don't like it, we get bitter. But in spiritual sadhu sangha, we associate. Why? We associate to take part in Shravana Kirtana. And this beautiful devotional garden gets ruined when what happens? When you commit Vaishnava prāha. So, over here we saw that Guruda had committed Vaishnava prāha also. Guruda is guiding, guiding how we should execute devotional service. So, the point is, you should deploy Vaishnava prāha. Lord Chaitanya, very compassionate, merciful to everyone. He showed us the importance of avoiding Vaishnava prāha. The Lord was very kind to everyone, but he was a little angry at his mother. And the Buddha would say, my Lord, you're being merciful to everyone. Why aren't you being merciful to your mother? And what did he say? My mother has offended. And what was her offense? Nothing major. Just in her mind she thought that Advaitacharya, the duplicate-minded person, he influenced my older son to leave home. Now he influencing my younger son also. And that was the anger. And when devotees would go to such a mother and say, the Lord said that you have offended. And she would say, and how is it possible? And but once when she said, her mother was offering obeisances, Advaitacharya was offering obeisances, she came from behind, took the dust, and applied it on her forehead. So Lord Chaitanya gave us this extreme example to show that this Vaishnava prāha is so powerful that we should be very careful. So Garuda had committed an offense also. He gave protection to the fish. And so on the spiritual path, what do? We avoid the offenses. And the Lord's pastime is so powerful. When you're reading these pastimes, you get purified. So Prabhupada gave us the Krishna book, which is a very scientific presentation. We got a story from Shyam Sundar once. After Prabhupada had gone to New York, He wanted to get a Krishna book published, and he wanted a high-class presentation or something like that. But that time the movement was young, and funds were also limited. So at that time, the devotees had started preaching in England, and Shyam Sundar had come from England. We gave Prabhupada a report on the progress. Prabhupada was very impressed by the progress, by the efforts of the disciples. So Prabhupada, after he heard the report, he said, "Why don't you ask George to print this Krishna book?" And Shyam said, "Papa, he's a new devotee. If we approach him for this now, he may lose faith." And Papa said, "No, we can try." So he went back to England, and there he approached George and said, "My spiritual master wants you to publish this book." And he agreed instantly. So Prabhupada wanted to present the Krishna book in a very powerful presentation, and he wanted to present the passion of the Lord in a very genuine way. So reading the wonderful pastime of Krishna, killing the demons. And these demons that we read about, they're also devotees of the Lord. The Lord usually desires to perform these pastimes with whom? With his devotee. Just like when the Kumar came to the spiritual planet, and they were stopped at the seventh gate by the doorkeeper. The doorkeeper said, "You naked children, you can't go inside." So they were very angry. They said, "You are not fit to be here. We were getting so much happiness. You stopped that." So they were dialogue, and they cursed the doorkeeper. The Lord heard the dialogue. When the Lord came out, the Kumara saw that he is very friendly, intimate with the doorkeeper. So they concluded, we made a mistake. We made a mistake in cursing them, and they wanted to withdraw the curse. What did the Lord say? "No! Don't withdraw the curse. It was my desire to curse them." Why? The Lord was going to appear on the planet, and he wanted to perform the pastime for his devotee. These demons that you read about, they're not actually demons. They're devotees of the Lord who descend to make the Lord's pastime more relishable. So, in these two verses today, you read about the story of Saubhari Muni. From Saubhari Muni's story we learn that the senses can never be controlled. The senses can never give you enjoyment. But therefore, what should our philosophy? Bhoktaram yagita prasam sarvaloka maheshwara. Krishna is the ultimate bhokta. Sudasara bhutanam gyata samam. So we understand through Saubhari Muni's story that real happiness can be realized when we engage in Brahma-bhuta prasanatmana sochati. We engage in devotion. And Saubhari Muni realized that one can never satisfy his sense. We should be convinced about that. We come to Krishna consciousness and we get influenced by different factors. We should be convinced that it doesn't matter how much you endeavor, you never find real happiness. You want real happiness, what do you do? Take to the path of devotion. Chetana Brahmajana Mamam the one of the benefits of chanting the holy name is Ananda Buddhi Padana. You get spiritual happiness, is always increasing. So, reading the Bhagavatam is very necessary. Hearing the Bhagavatam is necessary. Nasta Prayesha Vadeshu, it's a Bhagavad Seva. Vati Uttama Shloke, regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam will cleanse the heart and bless us with the love of God. So, Srimad Bhagavatam presents the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. We should hear it attentively and practice it. And that will give you real happiness. Hare Krishna. How else do you? Can we? Too late, or should we take some questions? Any questions?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. My question was, when we say association of devotees, as you mentioned about Saubhari, his mind was agitated by a very small thing. So when we say association of devotees, we have conflict on very small issues. When our mind is so much disturbed, then we are prepared to leave the association of devotees. So how do we deal with a disturbed mind, especially association of devotees?
Why is your mind disturbed?
When there are conflicts with devotees on very small issues.
Why do we have conflicts? We have conflicts because of false ego. Everyone wants to believe my solution is a real solution, and the other solution is not a real solution. Because we're so proud what you are thinking that you don't get your way, then you're not satisfied. So we should take a humble approach. We should take the humble approach, being more tolerant than a tree, void of all sense of false prestige. If you practice humility, then there won't be this. Then there will be cooperation. Then there will be happiness. If we are always thinking, I'm right, he's wrong, then spiritual life will be tough. Yeah? Okay. That's so many there. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Late?
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, how can we avoid dṛṣṭvā in managerial service? Because we end up displeasing others and taking some strict action or many such things. So how do we?
In management, if something is wrong and your superior tells you that they should be corrected, that is not Vaishnava prāha. Vaishnava prāha is essentially when your effort, you're influenced by envy, hatred. If someone is being told, this is not correct, you should improve, that's not Vaishnava. In that situation, nobody will ever be able to open his mouth. Vaishnava prāha is generally activity influenced by envy, hatred, jealousy. I don't want to see this person progress. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. The back is yes. We'll stop in 5 minutes. What? Oh, sorry. What did he say?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So, as you said earlier, for cooperation, we need humility. So, how do we balance humility and standing for what is right. Because sometimes in cooperation, humility can also, like we may have confusion about humility meaning going along with even the wrong.
I explained just now that in management, suppose your superior corrects you, that is not Vaishnava. But if the correction is done, no envy, jealousy, then you can say it's Vaishnava. But if it generally gives you a suggestion or corrects you, that should not be taken as Vaishnava. Otherwise, nobody will say anything. When Prabhupada would go to a temple, he would first see things, correct them. He didn't hesitate in correcting what was wrong. So we should not be too scared of Vaishnava prāha. Okay? Yeah. Okay.
Maharaj, can the character equals as mentioned about correction?
Why not? You can even correct your superior, provided you do it in a respectful, amicable manner. And if you see something's wrong and you want to go to your superior, you can present your views in a presentable way, not in a challenging, insulting style. And certainly that can be done. Okay? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. When we try to control our mind with japa, it's so hard. So how we can do?
When you try to control the mind in japa period,
Yes.
it's so hard. And it's not hard at the other times when you chant. Or is it? I think it's hard. Doesn't matter when you. Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, every living entity is struggling with what? Mind and the senses. So Krishna himself is saying, you have to struggle. So, what we need to do, you be determined, make spiritual advancement. Utsaha nishchayat dharya. So this determination is very important. And you read about this again and again. The main important points get repeated again and again in the scripture. Okay? We stop now? Okay, one last question. Yeah, quick.
Hare Krishna. Well, how much time will it take for us to get pure devotional service and Krishna?
It can take you 1 minute, or it could take you several lifetimes. It all depends upon the speed at which you want to surrender. If you want to surrender in a very slow, good strained speed, it will take a long time. If you want to struggle at the speed of the bullet, then you can do it in a minute. If you decide, no more Maya, no more this, I'm not going to repeat the mistakes somebody made, and you practice devotional service, then you can overcome fast. If you take the right steps, stay in the right association, all the process that Prabhupada has given us, then you can advance rapidly. Okay, I think I should see the devotee sitting here. Yeah. Okay, Śrīla Bhagavatam ki?